Thank you for staying with us. After a 26-day bullish streak, the Nigerian equities market slipped 31 basis points week to date, signaling a shift into profit-taking mode. The insurance index, the clear winner of the rallies, surged 106.50% year to date, with standout performers like MBENEFIT, now and AIICO, NEM actually, and AIICO riding the wave from the new Insurance Act. Banking has been steady, up 46.99% year to date, led by WEMABANK and STANBIC, while oil and gas remains the laggard at 11.31%, minus 11.31% year to date, with the OANDO down 20.61% and CONOIL down 39.44%. Consumer and industrial goods stayed strong, with Champion, BETAGLAS among the biggest gainers. What should investors' playbook be now that the market has turned red? Olufunmilola Adebowale, Head of Research, Parthian Partners, joins me for more on this. Thank you for joining me today for me. All right, and I also have right here with me Kehinde Jones, Head Research and Strategy and Courier Securities Limited. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let me begin with you. For me, the equities market seems to have gone into a full profit-taking mood. I mean, I guess that was expected after a 26-day positive run, but let me have your thoughts on this.
Sure. So it was actually expected. So when you look at the equities market, the market doesn't move in a linear direction. So what we see most times is that when the market gains for like 3-4 days, especially for specific stocks, you tend to see investors taking profit and we see a pullback. Yeah, the fact that the market has even gained for about 26 days at a stretch, it's even kudos. And that was because of increased liquidity within the Nigerian market, because of the reforms in the economy that sent positive signals to investors. So we've seen influx of foreign portfolio investors into Nigeria. And the two major markets where they play is both the Nigerian equities market and the fixed income market. So that has boosted liquidity and sustained that positive streak. Now that the market has gained for 26 days, now we're seeing some level of pullback because investors are beginning to, take profit. And one of the key events that also sustained this bullish trend is just the Insurance Reform Act that has been signed by the president, and that we can see how that is also playing out with the insurance stocks. We've seen the likes of, MBENEFIT and the likes gaining over 400%, NEM and AIICO gaining close to 200% year to date. So these are the factors that are actually driving the bullish trend that we saw in the market in the last 26 days.
All right, let me come to you. I mean, when we look at the biggest beneficiaries of the erstwhile bull run, we see that, insurance happens to be the biggest beneficiary. Yes. What's your review of, investors' reaction so far to that particular act? You think investors overreacted, or you think it was moderate and expected?
Based on what the president said, if you look at what's going on in the Reform Act, you will notice that AIICO, MBENEFIT, LASACO, Azamaza are expected to capitalize by 25 billion. And while other stock, like other insurance stock, are majorly expected to capitalize by 15 billion. So there was an overreaction to 15 billion. And so there was overreaction of investors playing in that big market, in insurance sector, segment of the market. Because if you look at insurance sector, most of the stock are penny stock, and insurance sector stock are not that liquid. Let me give you a typical what happened since last week when the president signed the act. Since last week down to as of yesterday, total value that was done on insurance index is now above 10 billion. And this 10 billion, a Nigerian banking stock, just one banking stock, can do it in a day. So liquidity is an issue for insurance sector. And now you are not seeing, as of this morning, LASACO is still on full offer. A lot of sellers want to sell because of profit taking. AIICO went from 1 naira to 4 naira. Now it's trading around 4 naira to 14 kobo. And you are seeing MBENEFIT still there. There's still this sentiment of buying interest. So a lot of investors overreact to that. I won't say because of investor sentiment or investor confidence, but if you look at downward to some financials of most of this insurance sector, especially the cash flow, that's where the issue, investors have to analyze that. How come that most of the finance activities of this insurance company, most of them are zero or negative? And for going concern for a business, for a financial analyst to carry out a proper financial analysis on a company, you have to look at the financing, you have to look at the investing. Those two stuff have to be It can be positive, it can be negative, depending on what you do, what kind of business you are into. And when we are seeing that your financing activity is zero, maybe it's kind of negative, and your investing is also negative. So what are you doing the money? Where are you pumping the money? So investors have to look at these financials first. LASACO is negative, while other stock, other AIICO, they are doing well in terms of financial analysis. In fundamental, they are doing well. But are they value stock? That's the question we need to ask each other. Are they value stock? So investors overreacted to this rally. However, last week, insurance sector really played well, about 40% last week, just week on week. And this week, I'm telling you, profit taking is already happening. We saw at the midday market yesterday, where we were trading and Core Security Limited, we saw a lot of investors were just dumping the stock back to the market. That's where it just kick off. Just a second, it kick off. And a lot of investors are now.
Is that a message to, some of us that, we should probably be careful when there is a bull run? You probably want to look at it so you don't get into a bull trap, or maybe it's just the day traders or the short-term investors who just want to, because for short-term investors, they're not thinking long-term. They're just thinking, let's do this for maybe a week and see, and then take our monies out.
Yes, you are very correct on that. Investors have to look at the short-term period. You have different strategies you have to achieve your return.
So if all of us are short-term players, what happens? We all lose.
You gain in terms of insurance. If that just happened, you gain for that momentum. But for the long period, now that we know that the minimum, the year, just 12 months was given to insurance company to capitalize. Now it's a long period game. If you buy your stock now, insurance sector stock now, are you trying to hold for so period? Is this stock value? Is this stock liquid? So those are stuff you have to look into. When you are playing big in the market, you have to look at what is going on in the economy.
Okay.
And you have to look into what are the policy that is being done to reform.
I think I'll need to stop you here because we also have Fumi with us. Fumi, let me get your reaction to what Kehinde has said so far. I remember during our last conversation, you were also of the opinion that investors should be cautious. We should look at the fundamentals. We should wait and see what their, playbook would be for recapitalization and all of those. So I'd like you to come in here. Let's get your take or your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so what we're seeing in the market is just the knee-jerk reaction. I think now investors are realize the policy and know the companies that are likely to do well. So for the big players like AIICO and NEM, they are companies with value and they are liquid. So investors are likely to now begin to readjust their portfolio, targeting the stocks that are liquid and have value, unlike what we've seen across board. So now what we are seeing is investors are taking profit, waiting to now digest what has happened and see. I think the 12-month window, like Kehinde mentioned, for them to be able to meet their capitalization deadline or requirements. Yeah, so it's now time to really analyze which companies are likely to meet the requirements, which companies are likely to meet, because we could see some level of consolidation amongst the small players. So now I think investors will just play cool and ask for more clarity and do a lot of analysis to know which of them will be able to scale through and which of them are likely to. So it is just, we're just seeing now is people now trying to sit back and do proper analysis compared to just reacting based on the policy pronouncement.
All right, away from insurance, for me, I'd like you to talk to us about, your review of the banking stocks so far. And if we can also have that slide on sectoral performance year to date so we can see what we're talking about. Go ahead for me, please.
Yeah, thank you. So for the banking sector year to date, we've seen the sector gaining about 46%. So there has been some level of activity within the sector. For the banking sector, it's a very liquid sector. And the major driver of activities within the industry this period is the recapitalization exercise. I think we're just 7 months away from the deadline, and we've seen how different different banks have come up with strategy, raising money not just within the economy, but also looking at the foreign space as well. We've seen GTB listing on the London Stock Exchange in a bid to meet this recapitalization requirement, and we saw how investors reacted to that. In fact, the price of GTP stock rose to about crossed 100 naira threshold before falling slightly to about 90 naira. We saw how other companies like Zenith, UBA were also positively impacted. So what is really affecting or influencing the movement of stocks within the banking space is mainly because of the recapitalization. And also we saw that for some of those banks that have raised money last year, we say a number of investors have been credited, and we saw how some of them are selling off, and also there have been a lot of volatility within the banking space, and we expect this to continue till March 2026. And moreover, we are still awaiting the Q2 numbers of key banks like GTCO, Zenith. So by the time the results are out, we expected that investors will also react to the result, whether positively or negative. But analysis is showing the fact that we are likely to see just maybe mid positive performance within that sector, and we expect investors to react. And moreover, most of the Tier 1 banks also pay interim dividends, so investors will also take position to be able to benefit from the interim dividend. And as we also move to the end of Q3, September, October, November, we'll also see investors taking position ahead of the full year results. So corporate earnings, they need to meet the recapitalization requirements will be major factors that will influence trading within the banking industry for the remaining part of the year.
All right. Thank you so much, Funmi. We need to go on a very short commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. Glad to know you're still with us. We're still reviewing the equities market year to date, and I have with me Olufunmilola and Kehinde. Thank you so much, Kehinde, for staying with me. And thank you, Funmi, for also staying with me. All right, let's move on to the oil and gas. I mean, we're pressed for time, so we need to maximize the few minutes we have. Looking at the oil and gas sector, that's the only sector that has, that is in the negative, week to date, month to date, year to date. What's happening there? And I would also like to add, OANDO is trying to raise 500 billion naira from the equities market and then tie that to the 7.1 trillion naira liabilities. What's happening? Talk to us.
If you look at what's going on in the oil and gas sector, and majorly down from last year, oil and gas sector did about 160% last year to date, because oil price was booming. This year there's market volatility in the market, in the oil and gas sector. There's uncertainty in terms of domestic, uncertainty in terms of what's going to happen. Dangote Refinery just did about 400 CNG talk that's saying that free distribution to all petrol stations that is marketers, and pricing stability. And the issue of tariff also came in from the US, saying that, okay, I want to increase tariff, and OPEC Plus is saying they want to increase supply. And when there's increase in supply, who is buying this product? Price will surely want to fall. And a lot of things that is happening based on like Aradel or Ando, Seplar is also a good stock to buy. By my valuation, Seplar is also trading at more than 8,000, but it's trading at 5,000. Yeah, Seplar will now pay interim dividends, special dividends, and final dividends. So these are stuff that we should look into. Whereby fundamentally, most of oil and gas sector stock in Nigeria, they are undervalued. However, for OANDO, that is having liability of 7.1 from 6.8 trillion in December 2025, it increased to 7.1. 2024. So it increased to 7.1 in H1 2025. So what make up this liability?
Exactly.
So if you now look at the OANDO normally do about 2.8 is from trade and other receivable. 2.1, trade and other receivable. Cash flow issue is happening on OANDO financial statement. If you now look at down to the statement of cash flow, you will see that most of the operating activities there is an issue. Finance is an issue. Investing is an issue. So, and also, now that they want to raise about 500 billion, it can come from private placement, it can come from right issue, it can come from debt to equity conversion. It can also come from other source of capital raising. So for me, I feel this is the best time for OANDO to work on their cash flow statement. Also to work on the working capital in order for them to recapitalize.
Are you confident that investors would be keen on participating in all this? And then, they also are debt to equity conversion. They want to do, all of those things. Are you confident that they would be able to get them done in good time?
Yes. So it depends on the strategy around management or board of directors are trying to use. So if they are trying to do debt to equity, it's something of, investor confidence to play big in that market. Because most times in oil and gas sector, what you need to know is that price volatility is too high there. And a lot of geopolitical issue, tension, all this US, China. But so when you're talking of crude oil, you first talk about the Asian part of the global space. And if OPEC is not controlling what is going on, the outflow, the output of this supply in the market, in the geopolitical issue, and this will really affect.
All right, just before we go, let me just bring this. I mean, there are those who are saying that OANDO is all over the place, doing so many things. You're putting your hand into, is it e-mobility? You're into that. Maybe they are doing so much at the same time, and probably they need to do better in terms of managing themselves and all. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that because, well, you know...
we'll close on that in less than 30 seconds.
So when you do too much and you don't have a strategy of moving from A to B or from 1 to 10, that means you're not doing nothing. And OANDO have been existing for more than decades. So the strategy that the management need to play more of, or how to drive the working capital of the business, how to increase the cash flow statement, how to do different policies that will sustain the business going forward. Okay,
we need to go, Kehinde. Thank you so much for your time on the show today. All right, Olufunmilola Adebowale, Head of Research, Party and Partners. Thank you for your time on the show today. And of course, I've been speaking with Kehinde Jones, also the Head Research and Strategy and Korea Securities Limited.